Hey, and welcome to the London Independent Film Festival 2021. So we're here with Ruben and Jeffrey Reddick from the Horror Crowd. So welcome you guys, and you'll be able to tell us a little bit more. But first, we just want to really welcome you to LIFF 2021.
Well, hello there. I'm Ruben Pla. I directed the film, The Horror Crowd, and Jeffrey, who'll be there in a moment, is one of the stars of it. And we're very thrilled to be involved with the London Independent Film Festival. Thank you so much, Natasha. You and I know each other from previous events, but I was very happy when you decided, let's put the Horror Crowd in this festival. And it's all about the horror crowd, the horror filmmakers in Los Angeles. Many of them, there's 37 in the film, just so you know. There's a lot of people involved. Many of them I've worked with. I know all of them, and Jeffrey's a good buddy of mine, and he's obviously involved. And Jeffrey, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. It's so funny. I've never the UK has been on my bucket list since I was a child, so I've never got to go. So I was really annoyed that it was Cypher. So we couldn't be there in person, but this is the next best thing. So yeah, we just appreciate, I appreciate Ruben involving me in it. And yeah, we definitely appreciate you all checking it out and watching it there, and look, forward to answering some of your questions.
Excellent. Well, we absolutely love the film, and personally, I just think it's so important to be able to see about how the horror crowd is such a community. And just tell us a little bit more about how the project came about in the first place. So Ruben, you're in it, you said you know everyone, and just want to know a little bit more about how you decided, yeah, this is what I'm going to do.
Sure, of course. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I was traveling in those horror circles, horror filmmaker circles, working on films like James Wan's Insidious and many, many others. And I started thinking, I want to get, some inside information about these people, their passions, their secrets, their lives, their loves. And I thought, let's interview them. So I had a lunch with my good buddy, Hank Braxton, who ended up being my co-producer. And so I got this idea about interviewing all the people that we know in this horror crowd. And I'll just do it on my phone or something, no big deal, just see what I get. And he goes, I like the idea, but why don't I bring in some cameras, and I'll bring in some lighting equipment, I'll bring in sound, and we'll shoot some of the stuff at the studio where I work. And it just started going from there. As things tend to do sometimes when you get your friends involved. Then we brought in his wife, Ariel Brockfeld, ended up being my producing partner. And then the whole thing exploded. I started reaching out to people like Jeffrey, who's one of the first ones I reached out to and interviewed, and many other people, Mike Mendez, Darren Bousman, Oren Pelly, Lynn Shea, all these people. So Ernest Dickerson, there's 37 people, Adam Robitel, Craig Berry, who produced Final Destination along with Jeffrey. And they all wanted to do it. They all just wanted to come in and talk and divulge their secrets and speak about when they were a little kid and how they got scared in their first movie, whether it was The Exorcist or Jaws or whatever it was, Texas Chainsaw. Like Mike Mendez saw Texas Chainsaw. No, that was actually, he saw The Hills Have Eyes at age 3, and that made him the filmmaker he wanted to be, Wow. I think age 3 is a little young, but that's okay. Who am I to judge? So that's how we did it. Yeah.
So Jeffrey, you're just one of the amazing people who are featured in the film. So 37th, that's just an incredible number. And just both of you, tell us a little bit more about Jeffrey, how you got involved, and Ruben, also how you got everyone else involved. 37 people. That's just that just blows my mind. 37 people.
Jeffrey, go ahead.
I think, Ruben's been, Ruben's just a great guy. So when Ruben calls and asks, if nobody is, he's very, he's very supportive of everybody in the community. And he's just a great guy. So when he calls up and says, you want to be a part of something I'm doing, you just say yes. I think that's probably, I don't think he had to strong arm anybody into doing it, just because, again, we've all either worked with him or just know him personally. And he's just so supportive. And and this was an opportunity because, especially when you're a writer in this business, people don't tend to focus on writers, except in the horror community. That's one thing I love about the horror community is they know everybody at every level of a horror film. Whereas in most other genres, people focus on the director and the stars. And so it was fun to be a part of it, and just talk to a friend, you know, about my life. And I knew he was doing the same with a lot of other people that I respected and admired. And yeah, it was just very easy yes on my part.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey, like crying again.
I'm like the gay Oprah. I make everybody cry.
The gay Oprah. You're GoPro. Yeah, as Jeffrey just stated, I felt obviously comfortable enough to speak to these people and asking questions, and they felt comfortable with me. As you can see in some of the interviews, you know, we're high-fiving each other or hugging each other, or laughing a lot, and they felt they could open up. Jeffrey opened up a lot of, you know, very beautiful. That's why I was crying. Personal things he spoke about is growing up, and you know, his mom, his wonderful mom, who took care of everything, living on a farm and running a farm, as he states, and so many of the others. So some of the kids, you know, obviously their parents were supportive of them to be filmmakers, and some weren't, and that comes out in the parenting section. Yeah, being have a parent section, you know, becoming a parent later, all these different kind of sections. And they talked about, like, you know, Mike Mendes says, my parents weren't supportive of me. They wanted me to be an electrician or a plumber or something like that, where I could make money, you know, steadily. And others said, yeah, my parents, they were supportive. Cyrus Voris, who wrote Demon Knight, says, yeah, my parents were very supportive from the beginning. They wanted me to do it. And then it's just all different aspects of these people's lives and the influences that they had, from the first movie they saw, the horror movie, to their parents. Halloween, they love Halloween, dressing up. We have a segment about Halloween. Comic books, a lot of people don't know that a lot of filmmakers, horror filmmakers, fantasy and sci-fi, are affected by comic books, and that's what influenced them to become those filmmakers. So yeah, the film has a lot of different segments, and they flow into each other. They're not just like thrown on there like, oh, these bunch of segments here. I like to sculpt. To me, editing is like sculpting, so I put it all together. And this, you know, the costume thing leads into Halloween, and then, you know, all these different things lead into each other, and that's how we approach the film.
So tell us a little bit more about that process. How much of that was planned in advance, and how much was an organic kind of development throughout the process of making the film?
It's the latter. It's the organic. It's I went in, of course, I'm going to ask him, well, tell us about some movies that you did, this and that and the other. But then things started coming out, as I mentioned, about Jeffrey and, you know, the mom. I go, what? Let's hear about the farm and the mom. And then we delved into that, and all the people, comic books influenced me. I go, oh, so let's talk about, because I'm a big comic book fan too. And I started asking about comics specifically, you know, all these artists and things that influenced them. So on the set and in their homes, we filmed I think about a third of them were filmed in studio, and the other 2/3 were filmed in their homes. We went to Jeffrey's home, Lynn's home, Oren's home, Oren Pelly. They felt comfortable there, and they were able to tell me about things. And I just started saying, okay, you want to talk about your kids? Your mom? Let's comic books. So that's, I'm into improvisation. I have a lot of training in improv, and I'm not gonna, no, that's not what I asked. That's not what I wanted to talk about. There's no way I wanted to talk about what's coming out of them, you know, as you say, organically. And but then when I started putting it together, I had 40 hours, you heard me correctly, of footage to put together down to 92 minutes. So you're lucky you made it into the film, Jeffrey.
I know. I'm kidding.
Oh,
wise Ruben. Oh, wise Ruben.
Oh, stop it. You were there from the beginning. You were locked, baby, from the beginning. So I had to bring it down to 92 minutes. And I had like a 2.5 hour version. I had a 2 hour and 15. And I said, no, 2 hour, cut. And then down to 92. It's tight. I get a lot of comments about the pacing is fast and brisk, and you're not sitting there bored. Like the first 20 minutes, when I still watch it for the 50th time, and they got 20 minutes are in and gone. It's like, you know, so I try to make it I don't like documentaries where people, they put the camera on one guy or one girl, and it's there for 10 minutes and they're just talking and droning on. It's like, okay, you know. So I wanted to move it and go cut in between people, and when they talk about the same things, whether it's costumes or makeup or Halloween or, you know, women in film or whatever it is, intercut with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think the pacing is really, really just on point.
Okay.
And
Good.
what's interesting as well is, how do you make that decision of what to include and what to cut and not put there? Tell us about how you made that choice.
Well, after I spoke to Jeffrey, he says, as long as you leave me in it, I don't care who you cut. I thought, I'm okay. I'll be okay. No,
We're
no.
very codependent.
Will you be in my film, Jeffrey? Yes, just don't cut me.
Don't cut me.
Very codependent. No, how do you decide? That's the editing process. As I say, to me, it's like sculpting. It's like what works, what doesn't work. You know, like I said, 40 hours of footage is a lot of stuff that wasn't like crappy. It didn't work with that segue, that transition to the next segment. So it had to go. As far as the subjects of the segments, anything somewhat related to horror, sci-fi, fantasy, whether it be, like I said, Halloween, makeup, costumes, comic books, my first horror movie, whatever it may be, my influences, parents, so forth, anything that made that person the filmmaker, actor, writer, director, producer that they are, I wanted to include.
So you identified the threads and kind of joined them together in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, it started, I saw it start to come together when I had all the footage. I said, oh, I got to use that. Okay, well, that maybe I'll use that. I don't know, but I got to use this. And it just started coming together, and then the segments developed. And then, yeah, it literally came alive improvisationally in front of my eyes. Yeah.
Amazing. So how has it been received in different communities in different parts of the world? You've done a few festivals, so you've had it in different places, and different people have watched it. What have you noticed differences in how it's been received in different places, or different?
What I have noticed, Natasha, is the similarities. I have gotten comments from festival directors and actual people who reach out to me on social media saying this film spoke to me. These little horror geeks who live, like, I don't know, in Scotland somewhere, in a little town, a little village, when they don't have any other filmmakers, or they don't even have a movie theater. And they say, this thing spoke to me, and I want to reach out, and I want to start my own horror crowd. I want to have a trivia night once a month at the pub and so forth. I'm telling you, it's amazing how this little film that I was going to shoot on my phone has become this thing that's touched so many people. It's been in, quite a good amount of festivals, won awards, nominated for countless awards. So it seems to be affecting people. Yeah. And let me just interject, not just horror, because this can apply to, any kind of, it could be like somebody who's like into, as I say, sci-fi, horror, fantasy, but it could be someone who's into art or music. They can start their own music crowd or art crowd or cooking crowd, whatever it may be. The message I think everybody's getting is you can reach out if you're alone or whatever. You have no friends in the industry that you like, in that business that you like, in that art that you like. Start your own crowd, your own horror crowd, and then meet every month or every week, and just talk about the books you're reading, if that's what you're into, the art you did. Look at my new art, whatever. My poetry. I'm telling you, I think it does speak out to people in that way.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's really important because it doesn't matter who you are and where you are. You can find people who, you don't have to be alone in yourself and you're the only one. And there's a lot of people in different communities who might feel isolated and alone, but there are other people who are into what you're into. And I think we can see this in the horror crowd and how people are really supportive of each other, which is so different to a lot of other situations and a lot of other groups. And I think what you're able to do with that, with analyzing the horror crowd from your perspective, you can put it also into other situations. So I think that's really important. So,
Absolutely. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that sense of community is what really comes across, because our love of horror definitely connected all of us. But I think underneath that, part of what drew us to horror is a lot of us felt like, we didn't quite fit in when we were younger, but everybody, even you talk to popular kids, they're like, I know I was popular in high school on the outside, but on the inside, I didn't know what I was doing.
I was crying on the inside.
I was crying on the inside. And so I think that's just kind of a human thing, is we're always looking for like connections of people that understand us or take us how we are, even if they don't completely understand us. And again, we see so much of that just support from horror fans, being on the other side of that, where people come up to you at conventions or write you on social media where, something that you said in an interview where you're just being open about your life inspired them to feel less alone and give them the courage to kind of pursue their dreams, whether it be, film or whatever their dreams are. And I think that's one of the things that kind of comes through in this documentary is like, it is about the horror crowd, but it's more about the community of people, who've come together, again, over this one thing, but we're connected by so many other things besides just horror.
Very nice, Jeff. Very nice.
Absolutely. So tell us about Ruben, what were the challenges of making this documentary?
Scheduling, wrangling 37 subjects. Yeah, I mean, basically the actual interviewing was a piece of cake. You got people like Jeffrey, who's like, is a sweetheart and wonderful to talk to, and many, many others. That wasn't an issue, the actual interviews. It was just kind of scheduling the people, and then where we're going to do it. We're going to do it at your home, or we're going to go do it in the park, or we're going to go do it at a bar. So we have really different, that studio, different locations and different places. Like with Lynn Shay, we're interviewing her in her backyard, and she's sitting there like stroking her puppy during the whole interview, and it's completely cute. She felt comfortable with the doggy there, and it worked. Other people like Greg Grumberg were at a bar talking, all the liquor behind us. We didn't drink during the interview though. but I am going to have my vodka right now. It's water. I'm kidding. So we interviewed different locations to make them comfortable and make them feel they could open up, and it worked out well. I don't know that there were any real difficulties or anything like obstacles as far as that. Then of course going into the massive editing stage, which took a while because there's so much to edit down, but I loved it because I love editing. So I enjoyed every second of it. So to answer your question, I'm not trying to avoid it. No issues.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes, definitely. I think scheduling is always
Yeah. Sorry, did I ruin your question by not having a juicy tidbit to give you? Sorry, but let me think. It's like, Jeffrey, anything you can throw my way?
I mean, Ruben was like a diva when he got here. Like the temperature had to be a certain temperature. He had to have sparkling water, no cats. I had to like vacuum everything so that there was a cat. It was, the drama came from his side.
It's true. No. There were no, to follow up on that, there were no divas in the subjects, the people. Nobody's like, no, I'm not going to answer that, or okay, that's enough talk now. We've done it for 20 minutes. I got to go. I mean, I was there with some people for an hour. With Jeffrey, I was there for about an hour, I guess. Some people 30 minutes. Everybody was different. But nobody said, okay, we're done now. I got to go, or whatever. Don't ask me that. It was really cool. Yeah.
Interesting. So tell us about what's next. What's happening with the film, and what about you guys? What are you up to?
The Horror Crowd Part 2. We actually go back to Jeffrey's farm. And we all get to ride that little horse in the photo that's in the movie. The little horse, Jeffrey, you know the one I mean, right?
Yep.
We all get, that horse is like 50 years old now, so we're all going to ride it now. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody's been asking me about a sequel, part 2, and yes, maybe, possibly. As far as the actual what's going on with it right now, I'm in talks for distribution. So that's what's happening right now. I got a couple of prospects, and I don't want to say anything yet, but we'll see. Jeffrey, what about you? What you got going on? Besides Don't Look Back, talk about that, your film.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. No, that, my directorial debut, Don't Look Back, came out in October, which was really exciting. And I'm going to be starting pre-production on a new film at the end of the summer, which I can't really talk about right now, but it's exciting. I'm going to be directing my second film at the end of the summer. And I've been working in kids animation, during COVID. It's interesting. Like I had some animation opportunities come up. So I'm working on a spinoff of Usagi Yojimbo, which is a Japanese comic book. It's going to be on Netflix, and I have another show that I worked on that's going to be on Netflix in October. They haven't announced it yet, but yeah, just been doing a lot of kids animation. So not as much bloody murder as I like to do in my stuff, but we were able to, kill people in shadow puppet form. So,
Jeffrey, did you say it's Usagi Yojimbo it's called?
Yeah. Usagi
Is that
Yojimbo.
based on Yojimbo, the Toshiro Mifune movies?
No. It's based off a comic book, but I think the comic book is probably inspired by that because it's a samurai rabbit.
Okay. And he wanders around like a Ronin samurai.
He's got some friends with him.
Okay.
But so I'm sure that was kind of an homage to the movie. But it's interesting. James Wan is executive producing that.
Oh, cool.
That show.
Cool.
So it's Small World, and Stanley. Yeah, that's right. The creator of the comic book has been very involved, and it's just a fun new world. But I'm going to getting back to murdering people at the end of the summer.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's a nice teaser from both.
There you go. And Jeffrey, the film you're going to be directing in the summer, did you write it too? Is it just you're jobbing in as a director? Cool.
Yeah.
Tell us, what was it called? Don't Look Back?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, no, that was a wonderful experience. It was my first film. Supernatural potential, supernatural what's doing it kind of mystery. It's about some people who witness somebody getting assaulted in a park and don't help, and one of the witnesses videotapes it, and the victim dies, and then something or someone starts coming after the witnesses, and so our lead character Caitlin is trying to figure out if there's a killer after them or if something supernatural is coming after them. So for my first directing gig, I didn't want to just do a straight up horror film, not for any pretentious reason. It's just I wanted to do something that kind of played with, like, is it a real killer or is it supernatural? So it's kind of a mixed genre kind of film. And we shot it in Baton Rouge, did it independently, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I'm excited, to see it. A lot of people, it's weird when you do something, because I'm so known for Final Destination. I think a lot of people were expecting me to direct something like Final Destination for my first film. So they're like, where's the big splattery gore set pieces? And it's like, that's not this movie.
Where's death?
Yeah, wait for my next one. You'll see a lot of blood in that one. But
where's Tony Todd?
Yeah, no, but it was really, it was a great experience, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So I'm really kind of excited to dive further in that direction as well. Still love writing though, but there's so many other great writers out there too, where I read scripts that are amazing. So my goal is to kind of get to a point where I can write and direct and produce stuff, because I see so many talented writers out there that I'm like, this script should get made. And I want to be in a position where I can say, let's make this. And then Ruben will be the star of all of our films. We'll have the Ruben Chronicles. We'll do like a series.
like the Riddick Chronicles.
Yes.
That's great, Jeffrey. That's very cool. And that's exciting about your new film this summer. Cool.
I will be looking out. I'll be waiting for the updates from both of you. Absolutely. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. So
our pleasure.
Yes.
Having you. And the audience is watching London Independent Film Festival. Come and join us on social media. We also have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/London IFF. So come and chat to us on there. And once again, thank you very much to Ruben and Jeffrey for chatting to us today. Thank you, guys.
It was a pleasure. Great time. Good seeing you, Natasha. Bye, Jeffrey.
Bye. Talk to you later, Ruben.
Take care.